Imagine standing inside the most powerful empire on Earth, at the exact moment its decline became irreversible. Nothing looks broken. Nothing feels urgent. That's the danger. Empires don't collapse when they feel weak. They collapse when they feel permanent. Rome, year 400 AD. Marble cities, aqueducts stretching beyond the horizon, legions guarding borders thousands of miles away. A currency trusted across the known world. If you told someone here this civilization would hollow out within a lifetime, they wouldn't panic. They'd laugh. Because collapse doesn't announce itself. It hides in stability, in confidence, in systems that feel too large to fail. Rome didn't fall suddenly. It declined quietly, technically, economically. And the unsettling part isn't that it happened, it's how familiar the pattern looks. Now, step forward in time. Stand in Times Square. Look up. Glass towers. Markets flashing numbers that never sleep. A currency accepted everywhere, without question. This also feels permanent. Permanence is how decline hides. Because once systems grow large enough, they stop being questioned. And when something stops being questioned, it starts accumulating risk, quietly.
Rome didn't fall because it failed.
Rome fell because it succeeded at a scale no civilization had ever managed before. For centuries, Rome expanded outward, roads binding continents, trade flowing freely, goods moving faster than ever. A merchant in Gaul could trade with Egypt. A soldier on the frontier could be paid with money trusted everywhere. That's not a decline. That's globalization. Rome had everything a modern superpower recognizes. Secure trade routes, a dominant currency, military reach, cultural gravity, a growing middle class. Life improved, cities expanded, consumption increased, expectations rose. Growth didn't feel dangerous, it felt like progress. That progress ran on trust. For generations, Rome used the silver denarius, nearly pure metal. If you held it, you didn't need faith. You didn't need policy explanations. You trusted the weight in your hand. Stable money rewarded patience. It encouraged saving. It made long-term planning possible. As long as the money was solid, Rome could expand without distortion. And for a long time, it did. But scale changes the rules. As Rome grew, so did its obligations. More borders to defend, more soldiers to pay, more infrastructure to maintain. More citizens depended on the system. Success created permanence. The city of Rome swelled with people who no longer produced food. They consumed it. They depended on the system continuing to work. To maintain stability, emperors provided subsidized grain and public games, not decadence yet, governance. Rome hadn't collapsed. It hadn't even slowed, but it had crossed a threshold. Its ambitions were now permanent. Its obligations are irreversible. And the system that once expanded effortlessly, now it requires constant maintenance. That's when the pressure began.
Rome didn't choose collapse, it chose relief. Because when power faces a deficit, it has two visible options: cut spending and risk unrest, raise taxes and anger elites. Both threaten stability, so Rome chose a third path, one that felt technical, temporary, and responsible. They adjusted the money. Under Emperor Nero, silver coins were gathered, melted down, and quietly mixed with cheaper metals. They were reminted at the same face value. Nothing looked different. Nothing felt different. The economy kept moving. The empire kept functioning. And that was the problem. Because this wasn't theft by force. It was dilution. A little less silver, the same promise. At first, nobody noticed. So it worked. And once it worked, it became precedent. Each emperor faced the same pressures: wars, wages, infrastructure, expectations. Each time, debasement looked easier than discipline. Over the decades, the silver content fell. Then, over centuries, it collapsed. Rome didn't break its money once. It taught itself that money could be stretched to delay the consequence. Reality didn't collapse immediately. It waited. Merchants adapted first. Prices rose quietly. Savings thinned. The system still functioned, but trust was thinning with it. Rome solved its short-term problem by borrowing from its long-term stability, and once that door opened, it never fully closed. America didn't begin differently. For most of its history, the dollar was anchored. Gold imposed limits. Discipline enforced reality. That restraint built the most productive economy in human history. Then came global dominance. The military reaches everywhere. Economic influence everywhere. Responsibilities everywhere. We wanted security abroad and comfort at home. And for a time, we could afford both, until pressure mounted. War overseas, expansion domestically, gold's leaving the system. So, in 1971, the gold window closed. Not collapse, not a crisis, convenience. From that moment on, the constraint weakened. Unlike Rome, we don't melt coins, we type numbers. Trillions created instantly. Debt is expanding faster than production. What took Rome centuries, we compressed into decades. Every new dollar diluted the last. Every solution pulled consequence forward. To be clear, the system still works. Markets still function. The dollar still anchors global trade. Institutions still hold. That resilience is real, and it's exactly why the risk stays invisible. You don't need charts to feel the pressure. You feel it in groceries, in housing, and in the effort to deliver less than before. This isn't failure, it's physics. We are not at collapse, we are in compression, a phase where trust carries more weight than it was ever designed to hold. Empires don't fall when they weaken, they fall when belief becomes the final load-bearing structure. Rome didn't collapse in isolation. It collapsed when the world around it stopped absorbing its weakness. As long as others accepted Roman coins, Rome could delay consequences. When merchants demanded more or refused it entirely, everything accelerated. Rome didn't lose power, it lost cooperation. Empires don't fall when they're attacked, they fall when they're ignored. The modern system works the same way. The dollar sits at the center of global trade because it is trusted. But trust is not ideological, it's mathematical. Quietly, alternatives emerge. Not as rebellious, but as risk management. Contracts shift, reserves diversify, dependencies thin. When absorption slows, currency returns home. And when too much money chases too few goods, inflation isn't a policy error, it's a mechanical outcome. Rome didn't hear the sound of its empire ending. It felt the silence. When Rome finally gave way, the world didn't end. Life continued. What vanished was structure, guarantees, assumptions, invisible systems people had trusted without thinking. Rome didn't fall outward. It thinned inward. Collapse doesn't erase value. It redistributes it. Land remained. Skills remained. Trade remained. What disappeared was abstraction. Promises stopped clearing. The distance between effort and reward was shortened brutally. Rome's end didn't reward intelligence alone. It rewarded positioning. Every empire reaches a moment when solutions stop fixing problems and start creating new ones. When confidence requires explanation, when belief has to work harder than reality. That is the inflection point. Not chaos, withdrawal. People stop organizing their lives around the system, and once that happens, the end is no longer loud. It's administrative. Rome never believed it was living in its final chapter. Neither did any empire before it. History doesn't offer guarantees. It offers patterns. So the question isn't whether this era ends. Every era does. The question is simpler and far more uncomfortable. When the system you're standing inside changes, will you recognize the shift as it's happening, or only after it's already behind you?